I'm a history professor and I teach about Cuban history. I think a lot of young people are really interested in coming to Cuba and learning about Cuban history and Cuban politics. Recently, the New York Times declared Cuba to be a top tourist destination, but I think many people in the United States are probably asking themselves, how do we get there? If you want to come to Cuba from the United States, you can.
This is my second time in Cuba, but the US government makes it difficult to come to Cuba. We can't use our debit cards here.
I have to bring cash. They don't want you staying in any state-owned hotels, and that's all due to the policies of the US blockade toward Cuba that's trying to create a chokehold over the Cuban economy.
You can't simply come as a tourist. You need to say that you're coming for one of 12 very specific purposes.
For example, support for the Cuban people or an educational activity.
It fills me with a sense of profound shame to see what my government has been trying to do to the Cuban people.
It's the ordinary person who suffers the most from that blockade, but it does impact US tourists as well, who want to learn about Cuba, who want to develop relationships with the Cuban people.
I don't want to make Cuba out to be a paradise. Some of the problems are internal, but the best way to support the Cuban people in solving those problems is to lift the blockade.
Cuba's an incredible country. I would really encourage folks to come to Cuba, and then from that experience, you can come to your own conclusions about what Cuba is like as a country.